Some things are supposedly so sacred that we have laws against even photographing them, which is why 2 travel influencers from America have been ordered to delete photographs of Uluru or be fined. But burning our flag, which a lot of Australians would also consider, kind of sacred, well, no problem there. It gets burned at pro-Palestinian protests. It gets burned by race warriors too. And Liberal MPs say, well, that's enough. We need a law.
Make it a national law that you cannot burn the Australian flag. It is not just a piece of fabric. It is something that brings our nation together. It also should unite this country. We should be proud of Australia and what we've achieved, but also remember that those that fought and died under this flag paved the way for this country, and we should honour them by making this a criminal offence.
But in the United States, Donald Trump this week beat them to it. In a way, there's actually very strong laws in the US defending free speech, which means, up to now, burn the flag. But Trump has signed an executive order telling officials to take action wherever possible against flag burners who they can argue were inciting violence by burning flags.
All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots.
I was joined earlier by Donald Trump's first White House spokesman, Sean Spicer. Sean Spicer, always great to talk to you. Burning the flag, that's always been seen in the United States as an expression of free speech, so lawful. But Donald Trump has now ordered administration officials to prosecute flag burners where it can be seen as what he calls an incitement to violence. He also wants to deport flag burners who are foreigners. Do you think, given how strong America is on free speech, and God bless America for that this order is actually going to achieve much?
I don't know. It's a really interesting question, and I'm conflicted on this. Let me just be very clear. I find flag burning to be abhorrent. I think that if you don't recognize how great this country is and the freedoms that it bestows on everybody, then shame on you. I've served in the U.S. military for over 25 years. But that being said, Andrew, to your point, I will defend somebody's right to burn the flag because it is protected speech. That's what makes America great, is that you defend what you hate. And so I get this. And there's a couple things that are interesting about how Trump is approaching this. They're not necessarily making flag burning illegal. They're making the consequences of it illegal. So in other words, as you kind of correctly stated, if violence ensues afterwards, that what you did to incite the violence is going to be prosecuted and 1 year in jail is the penalty. What I don't like about it is how is the left going to weaponize this going forward if they ever regain power and use it as a precedent? And so what worries me is that this might be used as a justification when they go back to their woke censor culture, trying to ban people on the right, as they have done for the last 4 years. So I worry more about the future than the present in something like this.
Look, I think you make a very good point there. It's not a question of shouldn't be a question of who's going to ban what on either side. It should be free speech. I think you're spot on there. Donald Trump said after his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska that Putin had finally agreed to meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to talk peace. Now, I've said Putin's been promising this for months and months and months and never fronted up. And now Donald Trump has admitted that these talks may not go ahead. Here he is.
Have you spoken to Putin since last Monday?
Yeah, I have.
What is your conversation? Or can you share?
Every conversation I have with him is a good conversation. And then, unfortunately, a bomb is loaded up into Kiev or someplace, and then I get very angry about it.
Why do you think President Putin is so reluctant to meet with President Zelensky?
Because he doesn't like him.
So, Sean, what do you expect to happen now?
You and I have talked about this many times. I don't think Putin will ever actually agree to anything, whether or not he fakes a meeting or not. It's never going to happen. But here's where I think this time is different. He has not taken Donald Trump seriously enough. I believe that when Trump came into office, he wants to be known as the guy that ended the conflicts. He is proud of the work that he's done in those 6 other conflicting situations. And I think he wants to end this war that happened on Biden's watch. But Putin's not going to let it happen. And so I suspect at some point pretty soon, Trump allows these secondary tariffs to kick in. And I fully expect, I don't know if it's going to be, sometime mid-September, but within the next month, I think Trump is going to ratchet it up because he knows that he's not going to want to spend a ton of money, but he also needs to make Putin, pay a price for the level of disrespect that he has shown to this opportunity that he was presented.